We're going to be learning a song in today's episode which focuses on some of Scotland's sporting achievements, and we're off on a beatbox road trip to visit some places connected with three of the people we mention in the song. So where are we off to first, Kev?
We are just heading a few miles down the road from where we live, and we are going to investigate the life of arguably Scotland's greatest ever football player.
Let's see where we're going. We are starting our road trip in the wee village of Hillbeath, where in its main street you can find a statue here of its most famous son, Jim Baxter.
Jim was born on September 29th, 1939, shortly after the outbreak of World War II, and for a while it looked like he would become a cabinet maker, but he eventually took a job down a local coal mine. But all the time the young Jim had a burning desire to be a football player, and he had a phenomenal natural talent for playing the game.
Jim signed for local junior side Crosgate's Primrose in 1955 and used part of his signing fee to buy his mum a new washing machine. 2 years later, Jim moved to Raith Rovers, although his wages of £3 a week, around £50 in today's money, meant that he had to continue working as a miner.
Everything changed in 1960 when Jim helped beat a strong Rangers team. The Rangers manager was so impressed that he signed Jim. He would later say, "Without that move, I would have been a miner all my life." Jim quickly made a name for himself at Rangers and would go on to win 3 league titles and 3 Scottish Cups. He would also play for Sunderland and Nottingham Forest before returning to Rangers and retiring at the young age of 31.
In our song, we mentioned Jim doing Keepy Up. Now this refers to perhaps his most famous moment, when Scotland beat the reigning champions England in 1967. Jim was known as a joker and for being a very skilled player, but always relaxed in his approach. During the game, whilst waiting for a teammate to get into a good position, he started doing Keepy Up in front of the England players, seemingly making fun of them.
Jim died in 2001, but is still well remembered all over the world. In fact, in 1963 he was selected to play for a rest of the world team against England. Sir Alex Ferguson described him as the greatest player I ever played with, and it is alleged that the great Pelé said Jim should have been a Brazilian.
So we've learned a wee bit about Jim Baxter, and verse 1 focuses on Jim and also another couple of sporting heroes from Scotland. Kev's going to tell you a wee bit more about them.
That's right, we talk about another footballer in this verse called Archie Gemmill, and we mention him scoring against the Dutch. This was a very famous goal, maybe the most famous goal Scotland have ever scored in the 1978 World Cup. Maybe you could get a little look at it on YouTube.
Yeah, there's lots and lots of footage on YouTube.
And the other guy we mentioned is from a long time ago, Benny Lynch, who was a famous boxer who came from a very poor area of Glasgow and eventually became champion of the world. So perhaps you could do a little bit of research into those two people. But in the meantime, let's learn the verse.
Let's go for it. Okay, so I'll sing a wee bit and then you guys are going to copy me. Kev will sing with you. So we have Jim Baxter doing Keepy Up, Archie Gemmill against the Dutch. Try that.
Jim Baxter do Keepy Up, Archie Gemmill against the Dutch.
Glasgow gave us Benny Lynch, a man never known to flinch. Anything Glasgow gave us?
Glasgow gave us Benny Lynch, a man never known to flinch.
And that's it. These verses are very, very short. Let's try that verse all together. Jim Baxter.
Jim Baxter do Keepy Up, Archie Gemmill against the Dutch. Glasgow gave us Benny Lynch, a man never known to flinch.
Fab. And then we go on to the chorus, which is really simple, and it focuses on the fact that Scotland, we're quite a wee country, but that doesn't mean that we can't be the best.
We've been good at a lot of sports.
We have been. We're thinking about standing tall and being proud of our country and its achievements. So it goes, we are small, but the Scots have won it all. We stand tall, we stand tall. Try that together. We are small, but the Scots have won it all. We stand tall, we stand tall. We'll do that again. We are small, but the Scots have won it all. We stand tall, we stand tall. Told you it was simple yet effective. Well, we try verse 1 and then going straight into the chorus, and then we'll learn a wee bit more about some different people. So back to Jim Baxter first of all. Here we go. Jim Baxter to keep me up, Archie Gemmell against the Dutch, Glasgow gave us Benny Lynch, a man never known to flinch. On to the chorus. We are small, but the Scots have won it all. We stand tall, we stand tall. We are small, but the Scots have won it all. We stand tall, we stand tall. There you have it, that's verse 1 and the chorus done.
Time to learn about something else.
Ooh, where are we going next? Let's go and see. We are now heading off to Kilmeny. I wonder if you can work out which sport this person is famous for.
Tucked away off the main Dundee road is this rather striking statue. It remembers a farmer's son who was born in a house just a few yards from here. He's widely regarded as the greatest of all time at his chosen sport.
James Clark Jr. arrived into the world on March 4th, 1936, and was fully expected to follow in his father's footsteps, running the family business. For a while, it seemed that Jim, as he was known to everyone, would do just that. The family moved to the Scottish borders, and Jim helped run the farms. But in 1956, he made a trip to the north-east of Scotland, accompanying his friend and amateur racing driver, Ian Scott Watson. His friend suggested Jim should have a go, and he did just that. He also lapped much quicker, despite being unfamiliar with the car. Scott Watson realised that Jim was far more talented than himself, and from that day on, started helping him in his motor racing career.
Like his driving, Jim's rise to the top of the sport was fast. By 1960 he had reached Formula 1 with Team Lotus. In total he would drive in 72 Grand Prix for Lotus, scoring 25 victories and 33 pole positions. He won the Formula 1 World Championship twice, and also lost it twice at the final race due to his car breaking down. In fact, he won more than half of all the F1 races he finished.
Statistics, of course, only tell you so much. It was the manner of Jim's victories which really made him stand out as a remarkable talent. He won the Belgian Grand Prix one year by almost 5 minutes, and the British Grand Prix despite having to turn the engine on and off while cornering because of a problem with it. 5-time world champion Juan Manuel Fangio and triple world champion Ayrton Senna both rated him as the greatest driver of all time. Jim still holds the record for Grand Slams, which is pole position, fastest lap, and leading every lap of the race. He managed this achievement 8 times. That's 2 ahead of Lewis Hamilton, despite Hamilton driving in over 200 more races.
His most remarkable season was 1965. Jim missed the Monaco Grand Prix that year to race at the world-famous Indianapolis 500 in America. No European driver had won this race since 1916. Jim not only won, but finished 2 laps ahead of his nearest challenger. Despite missing Monaco, and there being far fewer races in those days, He also took the F1 world title. Jim was at his peak by the time of the 1968 season, winning the opening Grand Prix in South Africa. Before the next F1 race, he travelled to Hockenheim in Germany for a Formula 2 event. April 7th, 1968 is a date remembered by all racing fans. On a grey and wet day, Jim was struggling with a misfiring engine. On a gentle right-hand curve, his Lotus left the track at over 150 miles per hour and crashed into a pine forest. The greatest driver in the world was gone. Everyone agreed that the accident must have been caused by something breaking on the car. There was no chance that a driver as good as Jim would have made a mistake on such an easy curve.
Jim's death was front page news across the world. In America, one radio presenter had asked drivers to switch on their headlights as a mark of remembrance to him, and that lit up the freeway like a Christmas tree. Today, Jim's memory is still alive and well. A new museum to the brilliant and modest Scot opened recently in the Borders town of Duns, near where Jim lived. In between being the world's top racing driver, Jim returned home to work on his farm.
Jim Clark was liked by everyone, even his rivals. After being cheated out of a victory at Indianapolis in 1963 by biased American officials, Jim was the first to congratulate the winning driver, who should have been disqualified for his car dropping oil. Jim knew how to win, and he also knew how to lose. Not that it happened often.
Right, so in verse 2, we spoke not about Jim Baxter, but Jim Clark this time.
Yep.
And we've got another motor racing hero that we're going to speak about too in verse 2.
That's right. In this verse we refer to him as Bob Mack. His full name was Bob McIntyre, and he was from the west of Scotland, and he was the first ever rider to average 100 miles per hour at the Isle of Man TT.
Which is why we sing about the first ever to reach the...
Break the ton.
Break the ton, sorry.
And I have my Bob Mack t-shirt on today.
Do?
About breaking 100 miles an hour.
There you go.
So,
Like verse 1, it's nice and simple. Let's go for it, let's learn it. So we have Jim Clark in his green machine, the quickest farmer you've ever seen. Try that.
Jim Clark in his green machine, the quickest farmer you've ever seen.
Bob Mack on the Isle of Man, the first ever to break the ton. Try that wee bit.
Bob Mack on the Isle of Man, the first ever to break the ton.
And there you have it. We'll try that all together and then we'll go on to the chorus as well. Ready, Jim Clark?
Jim Clark in his green machine, the quickest farmer you've ever seen. Bob Mack on the Isle of Man, the first ever to break the ton. We are small, but the Scots have won it all. We stand tall, we stand tall. We are small, but the Scots have won it all. We stand tall, we stand tall.
That's us leaving Kilmeny now and we're heading to St Andrews. Now St Andrews is famous for being the home of golf.
But we are going there to learn about someone who was famous for a different sport.
We are now in St Andrews on this glorious beach on a very typically windy Scottish summer's day. Scenes from a very famous film were shot here. That film was called Chariots of Fire and follows the story of Eric Liddell.
Eric Henry Liddell was born in China in 1902, the son of a Scottish minister. Eric's parents worked in China as missionaries, helping poorer people there with education and other aspects of their lives. Eric was sent to school in London and in 1920 began studying science at Edinburgh University. A gifted sportsman, he would go on to play rugby for Scotland, but it was in athletics that Eric really made his name.
The 1924 Olympic Games were held in Paris, and Eric was determined that he would win the 100 metres. However, there was a problem. Eric was a deeply religious man, and the final was due to be run on a Sunday. So in a remarkable testament to his faith, Eric notified the Olympic Committee that he wouldn't be running in this final, despite the fact that he was a clear favourite for the title. He withdrew from 2 other events where he had a good chance of winning gold, as they were also due to be run on a Sunday.
Eric did compete in the 400 metres and claimed gold, running in his unique and rather ungainly style. He would throw his head back while running and gulp in air, but it seemed to work. He also won bronze in the 200. Following the Olympics, Eric returned to China to work as a missionary. During World War II, he was captured and kept captive by the invading Japanese. Despite this, he kept himself busy trying to raise the spirits of the other prisoners. He organised games, taught science to the children in the camp, and helped the elderly.
Sadly, Eric fell ill and passed away in the camp shortly before the end of the war. He was just 43 years old. A fellow prisoner said of him, "He was overflowing with good humour and love for life, and with enthusiasm and charm. It is rare indeed that a person has the good fortune to meet a saint, but he comes as close to it as anyone I have ever known." We really enjoyed going through to St Andrews and seeing where part of the movie Chariots of Fire, that really famous part with Eric Liddell, was filmed. So obviously we're going to be thinking about him in this verse. But before we do that, we sing about 2 other Scots.
That's right, 2 female swimmers from a long time ago, Eleanor Gordon and Ellen King. So in this verse, we're going to sing about them first, and then Eric Liddell.
Let's go for it. So we have King and Gordon in days of old, heroes both who swam to gold. Try that wee bit for me.
King and Gordon in days of old, heroes both who swam to gold.
Then Eric Liddell could fairly run every day of the week but one. Try that, Eric Liddell.
Eric Liddell could fairly run every day of the week but one.
Did you notice that wee funny effect that we put in there, that little wee stop? Every day of the week but one. Just emphasises that.
Quite effective, isn't it? And of course now you know which day of the week you couldn't run on. We'll try the whole thing.
Yes, let's do that and we'll go on to the chorus as well. Maybe King and Gordon.
King and Gordon in days of old, heroes both who swam to gold. Eric Liddell could fairly run every day of the week but one. We are small, but the Scots have won it all. We stand tall, we stand tall. We are small, but the Scots have won it all. We stand tall, we stand tall.
There we have it, that's all the verses learned. There's just one more wee bit that we're going to learn too.
That's correct, this is the bridge, and this is just saying
That we're awesome.
we may not be the biggest, but that doesn't matter at all.
That's it. We've already spoken about quite a few areas of sport that we have achieved well in, and of course there are others as well. There's others that you could look into. We've not mentioned people like Andy Murray,
No.
lots of other footballers, the rugby, Scottish rugby teams in the past as well.
And Did you know
Probably not.
Scotland became world champions at elephant polo?
I did not know that. Although I'm not surprised that you did. So this little bridge section, this is quite a powerful wee bit. This goes. We may not be the biggest, but that doesn't matter at all. Try that bit.
We may not be the biggest, but that doesn't matter at all.
We get stuck in, we do our best, we're as good as all the rest. We get stuck in.
We get stuck in, we give our best, we're as good as all the rest.
And guess what happens after that, Kev?
Is it a chorus?
It is a chorus. So let's try the bridge and then that last chorus. Ready? We may not be.
We may not be the biggest, but that doesn't matter at all. We get stuck in, we give our best, we're as good as all the rest. We are small, but the Scots have won it all. We stand tall, we stand tall. We are small, but the Scots have won it all. We stand tall, we stand tall. And that is it.
That's it. We hope you're feeling suitably patriotic now and proud of your country. And that's us. We will see you
next time.
Bye.
Jim Baxter done keepy up, Archie Gemmell against the Dutch. Glasgow gave us Benny Lynch, a man never known to flinch. We are small, but the Scots have won it all. We stand tall, we stand tall. We are small, but the Scots have won it all. We stand tall, we stand tall. Jim Clark in his green machine, the quickest farmer you've ever seen. Bob Mack on the Isle of Man, the first ever to break the ton. We are small, but the Scots have won it all. We stand tall, we stand tall. We are small, but the Scots have won it all. We stand tall, we stand tall. King and Gordon in days of old, heroes both who swam to gold. Eric Liddell could fairly run every day of the week up one. We are small, but the Scots have won it all. We stand tall, we stand tall. We are small, but the Scots have won it all. We stand tall, we stand tall. We may not be the biggest, but that doesn't matter at all. We get stuck in, we give our best, we're as good